It is now my honor to introduce SLU's 2020 commencement speaker. Dr. Tiffany Anderson is the first African-American female superintendent of the Topeka Public Schools in Topeka, Kansas. Dr. Anderson arrived in Topeka. Since she arrived there, the district has earned 3 National Magna Awards, including one for work in equity. She has been named one of Education Week's 10 leaders to learn from, and she was selected a 2020 Kansas Icon in Education by Ingram. Dr. Anderson is renowned for closing achievement gaps in rural, urban, and suburban public schools districts, having also served as superintendent of Montgomery County, Virginia Public Schools and Jennings, Missouri School District. She is a noted expert in curriculum and in balanced literacy approaches. Dr. Anderson's publications include her books, Closing the Achievement Gap and Transforming Schools for Excellence, as well as numerous articles. Dr. Anderson, we are proud to say, is also a graduate of St. Louis University, earning her bachelor's degree in 1994 and her doctorate in 2001. We are very proud to call her a SLU alumna. Please welcome St. Louis University's 2020 commencement speaker, Dr. Tiffany Anderson.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you, Dr. Postello, the Board of Trustees, and all who have invested in giving me this opportunity to spend time with you. Time is an investment, so it means a great deal. Normally when I speak, I walk across the stage or I come off the stage, but I guess in the era that we're in right now, I have to stand behind this podium. But know that my words are from the heart, and as I have just a few brief moments with you, I will share with you just a couple of things that have helped me along the way, and perhaps some words that will carry you through as you leave St. Louis University and move into your careers. It feels a little odd that we're doing this 2 years later. As a school superintendent, most of my 27 years in education has been as a superintendent, and we just gave our 2020 commencement. I am so proud of a university that would make sure that our 2020 graduates can come back and be celebrated. Again, I thank you, Dr. Postello, for your leadership and judgment. It's been exceptional. So it wasn't that long ago that I was sitting in your seat. In 2001, I gained my doctorate in educational leadership, and I was looking down the aisle as my husband, Dr. Stanley Anderson, was on the same day getting his MD. You see, I met my husband here at St. Louis University, so in 1993, I can remember walking to the library, and I told some young ladies, I'm going to go find the perfect man. They said, where? Right here on campus. Ladies, it doesn't always work like that. Out of curiosity, though, for those that are in the audience that met their spouse or fiance or significant other here on campus, just give me a little raise of the hand. Look at that, look at that. All right. You see, SLU provides more than just a great education, Dr. Postello. And I can remember to this day, in fact, one of the young people I was walking with is also now a superintendent in St. Louis, and I remember saying, I am going to go find me a husband, and they laughed. I said, I'll be right back. And so I crossed Grand, I went to the science building, just kind of as a joke, and walked around the science building, and out came Stanley Anderson, a molecular biology student working on his master's degree. He bumped into me and followed me out and asked if I was lost, and I said, well, yes, I am. I'm looking for the library. He said, oh, you must never study. It's way over there. We fell in love at first sight. Within 6 months, we were married, and we had 24 years of an amazing marriage, August 14th, 1993. You see, What I didn't know then that I know now, I will share with you that you may be adding up the years. I said 24 amazing years. 2 children. I was just in your seats, parents, in May as my daughter graduated with her master's. After graduating here with her bachelor's, she graduated with her master's in epidemiology and public health and social justice. I will tell you that as she got her job at Washington University Medical School studying cancer, particularly multiple myeloma, she's the clinic coordinator for transplant patients. I'm so proud of her. My son and I were sitting in your seats, and he's a graduate from KU, and we were applauding as you were. So for those of you that are adding up the years still and wondering about that 24-year time from 1993, clearly it's been more than 24 years now. Well, see, what Stan and I did know was that the Jesuit mission, the 200-plus years of St. Louis University, will embed in you something that makes you different than other graduates at universities. It's focused on faith and service. You know, so many people walk around and wonder, what is my purpose? Well, my purpose, and I believe yours, is to serve God's purpose. And once you know that, there's tremendous freedom. Once you know that, there literally is no challenge or barrier. Your mindset is your only barrier. Once you figure that out, there's nothing that will be in your way, Billikens. And so, see, we believed in the Jesuit mission. We knew that our purpose was focused on faith and service. And so I'm going to share briefly some components about living well and living on purpose with that Jesuit mission in mind, with what you've gained from St. Louis University. Stan and I, we didn't know then, and I thought I would be a teacher for the rest of my life, and I am still a teacher. It's just the label is as a superintendent. But for 27 years, well, going into 28, I am still a teacher. Stan didn't know that he was going to be one of the first robotic surgeons in the Midwest, a Pioneer Award recipient from St. Louis University, an OBGYN, the only black OBGYN at Research Medical. The OBGYN chair, in fact, at Research Medical. What we didn't know then was that we would have 2 amazing children, and I had a life that, and still do, that I could not have possibly dreamed of. We didn't focus on what we did or didn't have, but we focused on living well, living on purpose. And so as I share that with you, fast forward a number of years, and I was destined to come back to St. Louis. We were living in Kansas City, and Jennings School District began recruiting, and someone said, well, it's a bit dysfunctional. It has 50% of meeting state standards. It's the Commissioner of Education visited the school board, and they may get taken over. In Missouri, if you're below 50% of meeting state standards, and it's 100% poverty, you don't want to go there. It's exactly where we're called to serve, living on purpose. Now, at that time, I had never driven for more than an hour by myself, so it was quite exciting. And luckily, I drive a very large car, so everybody got out of the way every morning when I jumped in that car at 2 o'clock a.m. and got to work by 6, crossing guard duty at 7. And people wonder, how did I do that year after year? It wasn't me. I serve a higher purpose. There's nothing that I ate or no exercise that I did that I could explain that allowed me to drive 8 hours in a day for year after year. Your mindset is your only barrier. Well, 1 year became 2, became 3, and I will tell you, initially Jennings was kind of like the movie Lean on Me, but ultimately Jennings ended up not only meeting state standards, exceeding state standards, being over 90% of meeting state standards, a district accredited with distinction, 100% graduation and college placement rate, and still 100% poverty. We transformed the community. I'll share with you that during that time, and now Jennings, when you create a system, systems remain, programs come and go, but systems remain. That system is still in place, and they're still doing quite well. So in my last and final year in Jennings, I ran into a student. He's still my favorite student, Kevon Munger. And this student, long story short, I learned was an unsheltered student, a student without a permanent home. And I asked, I wonder what happens to students like Kevon. And I ran into him just at a music program and said, young man, go with me. At the time, the Rams was here in town. And I said, go with me to this Rams game. He went with me to this game and met Miss Molly, and Miss Molly adopted Kevon, and he has a bigger house than probably any of us in this space. As they moved to LA, and I tell you, Kevon is now back serving in St. Louis. Well, that student caused us to open one of the only homeless shelters in the nation. It's a homeless shelter that houses children that are homeless in the school district. They now have opened two. I bought a big sign. I called it Hope House. I love HGTV. And I told my staff, do we own any houses? They said, well, why? We have food pantries that we started the first year. We put washer and dryers in schools so parents could wash their clothes the second year. We serve in so many ways. What are we going to do with old houses? Well, what if we turned one into a shelter? I said, we can't do that. Your mindset. That house became Hope House, and now they have two Hope Houses. And in 30 days, again, I love HGTV, we flipped that house, y'all. Idea in November, opened in October, idea in October, opened in November, and I will tell you that everything in that house is donated by people in the St. Louis community. I just picked pretty pictures and put them on the wall and invited rich people, and they bought it. Isn't that amazing? Who thought that would work? And so my final year in Jennings, Topeka, Kansas, when I was recruited to be the first African-American female superintendent, I initially declined. And as they continued to recruit, there was something that called me to be there. You must listen to that still soft voice, that whisper, that call, just as I was called to be in Jennings. So as I joined Topeka, Kansas, and have just enjoyed my experience, what I didn't know then was that my date of August 14th, 1993 was my new life of being a wife. I didn't know that August the 11th, 2017 would be my husband's new life date in heaven. You see, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. We left the doctor's office and we decided not to tell anyone. We looked at each other and the first thing he said is, baby, I've lived well. He reminded me, remember when I very first met you, and I asked your dad, and I said to you when I first met you and went on that very first date, I said, Tiffany, you will be my wife. And I said, well, honey, not tonight. You just took me to McDonald's. He said, did you remember the second date? Then I went and told your dad, she will be my wife. And he said, son, not tonight. You got to go home. And within that 6-month time, we were married. I said, I remember that. He said, well, we're living a life that we couldn't have dreamed because we are living well and living on purpose. We're living that philosophy and that Jesuit mission of making sure that purpose is grounded in us, faith and service. So we're going to keep serving. And I have faith that this life is just the preface of the book. The rest of the story, I believe, is an everlasting life. So live well in this first portion of your life. So as I close this piece and share with you, I will tell you that I thank God that he called me to come to Topeka, Kansas. Because that last year, from 2016 to August the 11th, 2017, I was able to wake up every day with my husband and be focused on living well. People learned of his cancer when he transitioned because it was on the front page in St. Louis and in Topeka. Beyond that, there was no need to share with people our pain or to share with people our joy that every day we got another day to live well. Imagine, students, and I'm talking just to you, if someone came to you and said, you have an hour, a week, 2 years, are you living well? I'm counting on you. And I need you to say back, count me in. It's kind of one of those things that we say in Jennings. If you Google Jennings School District, Count Me In, you'll see a documentary called Count Me In. I'm counting on you, Billikens, to live well. I'm counting on you, Billikens, to continue to live with that Jesuit mission. I'm counting on you to live on purpose. Nothing happens by accident. So now I am finishing my last semester of my master's degree in divinity at Nazarene Theological Seminary, a lifelong learner, still living well, opening shelters and serving the underserved, and all that I gained from St. Louis University. So I am so thankful. Now here is the kind of prophetic piece. Graduations happen in May. I happen to be here on the weekend that I would normally be in Memphis. It is my weekend anniversary before Stan's New Life date on August the 11th and before our anniversary date on August 14th. Talk about things divinely orchestrated. I couldn't imagine being anywhere but here, where my new life in 1993 began as a wife, and celebrating with you and looking in your eyes, letting you know that your life is bigger than what you can possibly dream today. So I am now your ally. Look me up, email me, Billikens. If you need something, let me know. I will do all that I can. Someone actually did look me up. I just hired him as a principal at one of our schools. So everybody can expect that. I only have 30 schools. But my commitment to be your ally remains. I'm honored to be in your presence. So I'm closing with saying, count me. I'm counting on you, and I need you to say, count me in. So on 3, I'm counting on you. 2, 3. Up. I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you. Thank you, Billikens. Congratulations.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Dr. Anderson. It is now my privilege to present Mr. Joseph Conran, the chairman of the St. Louis University Board of Trustees.
Good morning, all. President Costello, I have the honor to inform you that the Board of Trustees, by virtue of the right granted to it by the state of Missouri, has voted to authorize you to confer upon these persons honorary degrees in recognition of their singular achievements. Dr. Tiffany Anderson, the Most Reverend Robert J. Carlson, and the St. Louis Jesuits, whose members are Father Bob Duford, Society of Jesus, Father John Foley of the Society of Jesus, Mr. Tim Mannion, Father Robert Rock O'Connor of the Society of Jesus, and Dan Schutte. And now to honor Dr. Anderson, I invite Trustee Darrell Jones to the podium.
Good morning once more. When Dr. Anderson took the helm at Jennings School District in 2012, the predominantly African-American school district in suburban St. Louis was on the verge of becoming unaccredited. She discovered part of the problem stemmed from students not having their basic needs met. Under Dr. Anderson's direction, the district made significant academic changes, started a Saturday school, and launched a college prep program. It opened a food pantry, established a homeless shelter, and opened a free medical and mental health clinic for students. The changes led to full accreditation. In the Washington Post, Al Jazeera, and NPR profiled the district's transformation. Media described Dr. Anderson as the superintendent who made schools work for poor children. Dr. Anderson left Jennings in 2016 to serve as the superintendent of Topeka Public Schools in Kansas, where she also had great success. 2 docuseries were filmed about her work, one of which aired on A&E in 2018. An author, speaker, and SLU National Alumni Board member, she has received many honors, including a Lifetime Achievement Award for volunteerism from President Barack Obama. For her dedication to improving education, her commitment to closing achievement gaps, and her innovative efforts to serve her students, the degree of Doctor of Education, honoris causa, will be conferred upon Dr. Tiffany Anderson.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon Dr. Tiffany Anderson the degree of Doctor of Education and declare that her name will be inscribed forever on the university's roll of honorary graduates.